Hey everybody, welcome to our GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Helsmiths of Hashut, the army set for Warhammer: The Age of Sigmar. Now this was kindly sent as a complimentary review copy and is basically the forerunner of another trip down nostalgia lane. This time it's not squats in Warhammer 40,000, they're bringing back the Chaos Dwarfs from Warhammer. With a fresh new look. they're not just dudes with like heads on feet, which is kind of what they were before, garden gnomes. And this is a complete playable army for Spearhead, Warhammer Age of Sigmar Spearhead, and about 520 points of Warhammer Age of Sigmar units. Now, this is a lot like the Idnith release at the very beginning of, or the end of, first edition Warhammer Age of Sigmar, going into second edition Warhammer Age of Sigmar. They were the first sort of like modern battletome. And much like that army, there's only a few units out so far. This box contains 3 different multi-build units. So we have the Tormentor Bombard, which also makes the rocket battery, the Infernal Cohort, which can also be armed with hand weapons instead of spears, and the Dominator engine, which can be armed with maces as well as its giant flamethrowers. So you get some unit diversity mostly in here through alternate build options in the units themselves. You also get a War Despot, which is one of 4 different hero unit types available on the list. You get the reference cards and the battletome. Now the models themselves I've already built up for Spearhead, and you can see them here pre-paint job. I should have them painted by the time this video actually goes live. So you'll see some painted models probably on my social media. And yeah, these are just lovely standard GW plastics. They went together super well. The 10, and I built them for the Spearhead like style. So they have the unit option or the weapon options that are in that game. Because that's primarily my interest in Warhammer Age of Sigmar right now. And it means that basically once this is painted, I have a Chaos Dwarf, or Chaos Helsmiths of Hashut Chaos Dwarf army, Chaos Dwarden army for Age of Sigmar started up at about 500 points. And if they do a second one with different units, then I'll paint that up too, and that'll be my home army. And I get to do all the units. So these are base coated with some lead belcher and then a top-down spray with some Rust-Oleum bright silver as a base tote. So if you're wondering why they're all silvered out. And I pre-glued down some ballast as well to give them a little ready-to-go grass and sand, that I can just paint afterwards. There's our War Despot with his little tusks. And there's a mix of male and female Chaos Dwarves in here. You can see some of them don't have beards. These are the female ones, still have the tusks though. And then the dudes with the big long beards are, looks like the men. The Bombard's crew, for instance, we've got looks like a male and then a female Chaos Dwarden there as like the crew chief. And then we got a couple hobb grots too. These guys first got featured in the Cruel Boys army list for the 3rd edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar because they were the bad guy protagonist. And they looked kind of Chaos Dwarfy, so I'm not surprised to see them in here. They do have a unit type too, so far unreleased, but you'll get to see all that stuff when we crack open the book. Full set of roster cards too for Spearhead, so your Spearhead faction, all the units in the book, and then also all your battle traits, formations, spells, scrolls, everything else. So full reference set in here. If you don't want to take your book to the game, you can just play directly off the cards. And like most modern GW books now, there are no point values in the book. You'll be able to download those probably when this comes out. We've got some transfers, which is nice. Lots of runes and chaos script. You'll need these for your banners probably. And then for the 4 major communities in 4 different realms that the Chaos Dwarfs seem to be living in. So the Forge Anathema is in Fire and Akshi, which is the big realms of like that they're from. Urzorn is the realm of beasts, where they're breeding the bull centaurs. Muspelzar is, I think, Shadow. I think it's Ulgu, but it's the Sea Realm. It's where the Idnith are as well, and they have giant oil rigs, big derricks that are mining. And then Zarvixa's and Kamon, the realm of metal, which is bad news because the air is sulfuric acid and it's melting everybody. They're all slowly dying. And then there's our limited edition book. And the limited edition book, of course, is in full color and features the new background for these guys, the Legions of Hashut, as well as rules for some armies of renown. They're a little limited right now, obviously, because there's not a ton of unit options, but there's 2 of them still, and then some regiments for renown that other armies can take. So who are the Chaos Dwarfs now? So effectively what they've done is they've kind of remixed the original Chaos Dwarf lore where they were disciples of Hashut, which is this sort of like fallen chaos god, a god of fire who, it's a Promethean myth basically, stole fire from the other chaos gods, was punished for it, became bitter and twisted, and then taught sorcery to the dwarves. And the dwarves, of course, don't use sorcery because they don't trust it. It's not as trustworthy as metal. And the big thing is that the sorcery is slowly turning them all to stone, and they've kept that in here. In this case, it was a survival reaction. So when the Realm of Chaos landed, when everyone fled to Azir, some Dwarden went with them, but the greediest ones stayed in their towers to defend their treasure holds. And what they did was they made giant sort of like firewalls at the base of their fortresses the daemons couldn't get up through from the bottom. And they slowly started to starve and die. And the ones who, could no longer have any food they could eat, there was some sort of like infiltrators inside them, amidst them from the powers of chaos, who got them to start tampering and experimenting on the demons. They had all the time in the world, nothing else to do. So they started building like demonic siphons and seeing if they could trap them and use them for power. And all through that, then they started hearing these whisperings through the stone, and that was Hashut saying, I'll teach you sorcery so you can survive. And so they made a pact with Hashut basically to keep themselves alive through the fall of chaos, and that has now led to these bitter, twisted Chaos Dwarfs, the Zardron, the folk of fire. And they believe now they're basically in like a cold war with the Skaven because they want to reforge everything into blackened iron and create like this symmetry for Hashut. And the rats are just breaking everything. And so they're in this crazy sort of war with them right now, trying to stop them from doing it all. And they're also the primary foes in Akshi. The Skaven Doom has caused a big old problem. So you can see here, there's a brief breakdown of the different realms. So the Forged Anathema here is in Akshi. We've got Urzorn here in Gur, where they're spawning the... they're not really descriptive as to how they get born. They just seem to send expectant Zardron mothers to Urzorn, and then somehow the Chaos Dwarf bull centers get born. We're not really talked about why Chaos is doing that. Zarvixa, the Sea of Drowned Shores. And it's in Shesh, actually. It's not in Ulgu. I thought it was Shadow, but it's in Shesh. It's in the Realm of Death. And then Muspelzar, which is in the Realm of Metal, which is where their big like processing plants for all the crazy chaos metals is. And so we get some transfers for that as well. Once again, nice big sort of like army layout here you can see in full color. And then you got some demon smiths, the actual sorcerers, all the different catapults. So even though it's like the army's going to be kind of same-ish probably at 2,000 points. You're looking at roughly 325 to 350 for the big guys, just under 200, like 180, 190 for the Dominator engines, just around 100 for all the heroes, like between 90 and 120. And the same for the three main units of the Bull Centaurs. You're going to need probably 10 to 15 units probably in the army if you're reinforcing stuff. And there's only... Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes so far. Because there's some stuff not pictured here because I assume it wasn't done. Like they're not picturing some of the gunners and stuff that aren't released. So anyway, let's jump into, of course, just some stuff on their society and how the demon smiths work, capturing demonic essence. You can see here it's all very warpstone-y, so it's very much like the technology of the Skaven. They're kind of like competing technologically with the Skaven. They're using the same type of technology. They're trying to master it though, where the Skaven are like move fast and break stuff. It's kind of how people are approaching AI right now. It feels like the Skaven are most of how the world's using AI. And then the Chaos Dwarfs are using it a little more methodically. And then, of course, you had that this giant war between Azir, with them showing back up, and now the Skaven and their counterstroke is causing a problem. Oh no, they do show the box actually with the handguns. Never mind, I just couldn't see because it was so small there. So yeah, we've got this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5, and then 6 with the hobb grots. So 6 boxes, most of which make 2 units. So some differentials here. And then, of course, the character models on top of that. I'm not including this because this is a big box, right? And that's Uruk-tar, the first demon smith, who is mostly turned to stone, you might notice. His body's like all turned to rock from using too much sorcery, because that's the natural reaction the Dwarven have to doing that, which I think is neat. And then you get a general one as well on different types of bull centaurs, or not bull centaurs, great tauruses. So our unit profiles, the various wars we're currently fighting, And then showing their infernal cohorts with blades and with spears. And the Hobgrot Vandals, where the Zardron march, so come the jeering mobs of Hobgrots. Larger than other grot breeds and even more cruelly pragmatic, they earn their name through a love of thrashing the works of more spiritually or enlightened beings. To the Dwarden, they are utterly disposable, their deaths buying opportunity to range the guns or move cohorts into a more efficient position. Hobgrots fight for material gain and hoarding instincts see them covet everything they can pilfer, following the wars of broken promises. They have acted as go-betweens between the Dwarden and the Cruel Boy orcs, facilitating a trade war of war material and captured beasts for skimming a fair wage. Yet some Hobgrots are forced to flee their treacherous clans or think they stand to profit from direct servitude, and they infest the lower levels of the ziggurats and enter the service of any who'll take them. Some become favored toadies, performing skullduggerous deeds and sneaky acts of desecration. Most, though, meet a sticky end. So they're basically just like, they're wannabe Chaos Dwarfs. Hobgrot Vandals bear the scraps of armor and blades stolen from the factories. Most items forged by the Zardron are discarded as not meeting their obsessive standards, but Hobgrots readily acknowledge that this refuse is far above anything they can craft themselves. Some despots order weapons deliberately left on show, knowing the Hobgrots can't help themselves, thus ensuring a steady supply of conscripts. While pinched gear only goes so far, when Hobgrots gang up, they can even drag a Stormcast down, especially if they stab them in the back first, which is funny. Now we got the bull centaurs of two different types here. There's the royal guard with their masks, and then the kind of standard ones with their mallets. And then the rules. Okay, so what kind of army is this? It's kind of a Chaos Dwarf army. It doesn't veer too far off of the classic design of how the Chaos Dwarfs fought in 5th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle, which is to say that they shoot you, and then they sit still and take your charge with a bunch of these cohorts. So the cohorts defend, the guns fire, they hold the line between shooting you up close with the Tormentor engines and then beating you up with the maces. And their big guys cast spells. So this is kind of shown off in their battle traits, of course, and their battle formations. Each battle formation kind of around a different unit type. Okay, so their whole army has this ability. Once per turn, army at the start of your turn, you can harness demonic power. So the effect is you must use this ability at the start of each of your turns, remove all demonic power points from all your friendly units, and then gain a demonic power point for every desolation engine on the battlefield. And things will have desolation, so for every desolation token on the battlefield. And desolation tokens are going to be on objective features. Pick a terrain feature or objective feature that doesn't have a friendly desolation token, is contested by a friendly unit. That is not in combat to be the target, give it a desolation token. So once per turn army at the start of any turn. So you're going to get to basically, as you start to desolate the land, you're going to, in subsequent turns, get more and more of these. So once per turn army at the start of any turn, you're going to start off doing the terrain feature in your deployment zone. It'll get desolated, and then this happens then, and you get your first of your demonic power tokens. Then allocate your demonic power tokens to friendly non-Hobgrot Helsmiths of Hashut units. Each unit can have a maximum of 3 demonic power tokens, then all unallocated demonic power tokens are lost. Non-Hobgrot units have abilities that become more powerful depending on how many demonic power tokens they have, and we recommend using colored dice. So basically, these are going to build up over the course of the game. There's other ways of getting them too, but you're always going to have a baseline based on what you've desolated. And then start of the turn, army, any hero phase, reserves of demonic power. So declare, pick a friendly non-Hobgrot Helsmith of Hashut unit that has no demonic power tokens to be the target. Effect, if the total number of demonic power tokens that friendly unit have is 3 or fewer, give 2 to that target. The total number of demonic power tokens that friendly units have is more than 3, give it 1. So at the start of the game, it's gonna generate 2, right? So you're able to hand those out afterwards. And that's your hero phase. And that's basically allowing him to like be a battery in the beginning. As the army gets more powerful, it sort of isn't necessary and it tones down a little bit, which I think is a probably good balancing act. So power tokens, more on that later. Obviously, these are going to be a resource that comes around. Okay, so battle formations. Hashutite host. Each number of friendly Helsmiths or Hashut infantry within 3 demonic power points uses the rally ability. You can make 3 additional rally rolls of D6. So that's cool, getting guys back 3 times. Castigation battery. Experimental munitions. Add 1 to the attack characteristic of the ranged weapons used by friendly Helsmith of Hashut war machines while they have 3 demonic power points. So again, late game and they have to still be alive, but +1 shot on these like usually 2-shot weapons is pretty huge. The Bullfather's horns, add 2 inches to the move characteristic of the cavalries and monsters while they have 3 demonic power points. So Probably not super relevant late game. I don't know how powerful that one is, but it powers up the Bull Centaurs and the Desolation Engines. And then Arcane Dominance. Add one of the casting rolls, unbinding rolls, banishment rolls, and chanting rolls for friendly Helsmiths of Hashut wizards, priests, while they have 3 demonic power points. So this one could happen right at the beginning of the game, because you could have well, I guess not right at the beginning of the game, because you have to give the one that you get from your terrain feature away to someone who doesn't have any. And then if you have, oh no, if they have friendly 3 or fewer, give it 2 demonic power points. So you go right to 3 with your wizard if you wanted to, because you're just going to pick one. And they get +1 to casting, unbinding, and banishment rolls. So that one does double down, right? So he's next to the terrain feature. That generates a power point. You give it to him. There's less than 3 on the table. He gets 2 more, and now he's going to go right to 3. So you could juice up your big wizard at the beginning of the game with Demonsmith Cabal. The other one less so, because they're going to start with just the one that you can generate until you start desecrating other parts of the table. All right, heroic traits for your tyrants and overseers. So this is heroes only. Servile Automaton in the deployment phase. Pick a friendly Helsmiths of Hashut Automaton unit, so that right now that's the Desolation Engines. Inside your combat range. For the rest of the battle, the target in this unit's bodyguard and the following effects apply. While this unit's in combat and its bodyguard's within combat range, its bodyguard gets strike first. If this unit is infantry, it has a ward save of 5+ while it's in combat range. So you can partner up the Desolation Engines with like your War Despots, and the Desolation Engine gets better and gets strike first, and then the War Despot gets a 5+ ward. Really powerful. You're probably going to use those things. I don't see why you wouldn't take it. I think no, he's not an automaton. I was going to see if the Infernal Taurus was. He doesn't count. He's a statue. He's too big, too bigly huge. It's just these guys right now. Yeah, it's just the Dominator engines. Dominator engine. Keep saying. There's Desolation points in the Dominator engine. I keep mixing them up. Fire You Worms. Pick a friendly Helsmiths of Hashut infantry unit that's not in combat and wholly within 12 to be the target. And the effect is the target can immediately use the shoot abilities if it was a shooting phase. So it's shoot in the enemy charge phase. All attacks must be against the target that's charged this phase. If the unmodified hit roll of those attacks is a 1 to 5, it fails. So you're only hitting on 6s, but it's basically Overwatch in the enemy charge phase. That's cool. It has to be not in combat, but basically if they charge into you, you can fire over your own guys' heads into a combat. Could be handy. Has to be infantry though, so your war machines can't do it. And then an eye for weakness, pick a visible enemy unit that's within 18 to be the target. Effect until the start of your next turn, add 1 to wound rolls for attacks, for combat attacks made by friendly Helsmiths of Hashut units that target the enemy unit. In your hero phase, that's just calling somebody out for +1 to wound. That's very powerful. I do think Servile Automaton and Eye for Weakness are probably the most powerful here, because they're fairly unstoppable. This one can change turn to turn, which is really powerful. And this one can keep your smaller, lesser heroes alive. So yeah, I do like it. But like, you can't necessarily use this with your Bull Centaurs, not Bull Centaurs, Great Tauruses, because you have to be infantry to get the ward save. You can still give 5+ or strike first to the Dominator engine, not Desolator engine. I'm also mixing up all of my Battlefleet Gothic ship names. And we got our artifacts of power. So the Gifts of Hashut, Scroll of Petrification. Once per battle, any hero phase. Pick a friendly Helsmith of Hashut unit wholly within 12 of this unit to be the target. And then for the rest of the turn, they have a 2+ ward. The target cannot use non-passive abilities or be picked for, to be the target of friendly abilities. The enemy unit can ignore the target for the purpose of movement, charging, or setting up on the battlefield. So he just turns to stone for the rest of a turn, and you can just stand there. Though they cannot control the Stone Flesh Curse, the Zardrans still believe it can be harnessed. This scroll is the result of that belief. When it reads, it can transform themselves or their minions into stone for a fleeting moment. So any unit basically can just have a 2+ ward, but can't do anything that isn't passive. So you can just run up an objective and have a 2+ ward save and just like stand there and take damage for the whole turn. It's crazy. It's only once per battle though, but it's a very cool ability to just be able to turn someone into rock. You're like that dude from Ninja Scroll who turns his body, no wait, that's not from Ninja Scroll. That's Fist of the North Star. The dude who turns his body to steel. I've turned my body to steel. And then Ken still kills him. Crucible of Spite. Give to 3 demonic power points to this unit. However, you cannot allocate or give any more demonic power points to this unit for the rest of the battle. So once you're battling your hero phase, you can just charge them up, and they'll have the rest of the turn with 3 power points, but then they can't do it for the rest of it. And then finally, Gauntlets of Punishment. Pick a visible enemy unit within 12 of this to be the target. Roll a 3+ on a D3, or 2+, inflict a number of mortal damage. So you're going to do 2 or 3 mortal wounds to them. That's fine. Right? I think it's on a 2. Yeah, because it's a D3. So yeah, you're going to do 1, 2, or 3, but most likely 2 or 3. Kind of cool. It's in your shooting phase. It's every turn, so it gives them a gun. I do kind of like that one. Demonic power points are cool, but like that's going to depend upon what you've taken that can really benefit from them. I think between Scroll of Petrification and Gauntlets of Punishment, those are both fantastic. The like just I can't die for 1 turn on a 2+ is kind of amazing. All right, so Lore of Infernal Power. Hateful Fractures. It's on a 6, and it is declare. Pick a friendly Helsmith wizard to cast a spell, and pick a visible enemy with an 18 to be the target. And then it's on 2d6. Have their move. So you just like slow them down. Ashen Smog on a 7. Pick a wizard to cast a spell. Pick a terrain feature with an 18, and then make a desolation token to be the target. Then make a casting roll 2d6. So basically, it has to be something you've already desolated. The terrain feature has the obscuring ability until the start of your next turn. Then roll a d3 for each enemy unit contesting the target, the terrain feature. On a 2+, inflict number of damage equal to the roll on that unit. So it's only inflict an amount of damage equal to the roll on that unit. It's not mortal wounds. Yeah, it's not mortal damage. It's just damage. That's a weird one. So not mortal damage. They just take damage. So they would get their saves against it? No, because hits are what you save against. In the combat, I think that's a typo. Because in the combat sequence, you take hits, you make saves, then you apply damage. And if it's mortal damage, then you can only get, it skips the save step. So I guess you could have ward saves against this, but it's skipped because it's skipping the hit step. That's a weird one, but it's not technically mortal. Super weird. So it wouldn't trigger mortal wound abilities. And then Molten Metal on an 8. Declare, pick a friendly Helsmith unit with Helsmith wizard to cast a spell, a visible enemy unit with an 18 to be the target, and roll 2d6. Roll a number of casting dice equal to the unmodified casting roll. Inflict a mortal wound on the target for each roll that equals or exceeds their save characteristics. So it's the old, what is it? Molten Rune of Burning Gold, the one where you turn people's armor against them. That is great. That is a great ability. So as long as you can hard roll an 8, they get that +1, and if they have a 2+ save, they take wounds on 2+. It's mortal damage. That is and there's no cap on it either. So it's just the unmodified roll. So you're going to roll at least 8 dice, and the more terrifying the thing you're fighting is, the more mortal wounds it takes. Ooh, take that, Nagash. Here, just take, I don't know, 8 mortal wounds. Prayers of the Scorched Sex. We're into prayers now. It's answered on a 4. It's a priest to chant the prayer, pick a visible enemy within 12 to be the target, and then roll a chance. Roll number of dice equal to the number of models in the target unit. For each 5+, inflict a mortal damage. If the Chang was 8+, inflict a mortal damage on the target on a 4+ instead. So a nice, just Molten Metal and Black Flames of Hashut, both are just unit melters. On a 4, Furnace Blessing. Pick a priest, and then a friendly Helsmiths unit within 12 to be the target. Add one of the Ren characteristic of the target's melee weapons. For this turn, if its chanting rolls 8+, it gets crit mortal on top of that. And then on a 5, a Storm of Obsidian Shards. These are 3 really great prayers. They're all very direct. Pick a friendly Helsmith priest, chant it, and then a visible enemy with an 18 to be the target. Inflict D3 mortal damage on the target, and subtract 3 from their control score for the rest of the turn. On a 10+, you can pick another target. So again, pretty directly useful like spells. They're all useful to the combat phase. They're all pretty straight ahead. And Molten Metal in particular is a terrifying spell. All right, let's talk about some Boltec Dwarfs. Uraktar, the first Demon Smith. So these guys fly, obviously, Monster, War Machine, and Wizard 1. Wizard 2 for Uraktar. 3+ saves on both. Control score 5 on both. Extra wound on Uraktar, so 16 instead of 15. They both have a gun. It's an 18-inch shot. They're roughly the same. Yeah, they're identical. So 18-inch range, 6 shots, 4+4+, 1 rend, and D3 damage. It's a nice melty gun. It's got crit 2 hits and shoot in combat though, so you can keep using it even when you're fighting. And then the big boy Uraktar has Dumakaz, his weapon. 4 attacks, 4+ and 3+, run 1, d3 damage, pretty standard hero attacks, and then Gorakos' Horns and Hooves. They get charge +1 damage, so damage 4 and companion. 6 attacks, 4s and 2s, Ren 2, damage 4 on the charge. That is a horrifying nightmare. That is 24 damage potentially on the charge. When he's got 10 or more damage points, he drops his attacks down to 4. And then Peerless Among Demon Smiths. Apply the effect below that corresponds to the number of demonic power points this unit has. 1, he gets a 6+ ward, 2 gets a 5+ ward and +1 to cast, and then 3 gets +2 to cast, and then a 4+ ward against damage inflicted by spells, prayers, and manifestations, and otherwise it's a 5. So pretty cool, no ward otherwise, but you just keep, like I said, you could give him 3 in the first turn if you want. He knows Curse of Stone on a 7. Pick a point in the battlefield within 9 of this unit, and then a second point within 9 of the first point. Draw a line between the caster and the first point, and then between the first point and the second points. Each enemy that is crossed with a line, you make a caster roll on 2d6. Roll a d3 for each target on a 2+, you do mortal damage. So it's a lightning bolt, and it just like does d3 mortal damage if you get it off on a 7. That's a cool little one, and you can hit multiple units, and especially if there's characters hiding in units, it'll allow you to like zigzag and hit them. Once per turn army, any charge phase, you can do Pitiless Trampling. If you charge, then pick a unit within 1. Inflict d3 mortal damage, then roll 2d6. This unit can move a distance up to the value of the roll. During that move, the unit can pass through models in the target unit, but must end the move in combat. So basically, you can do a flyover while you're trampling. And there's no roll to do it. You just do d3 mortal damage. It's not like it's on a 2+ or anything. Enemy hero phase, Master of Demonic Power. In this one, it is remove to 3 demonic power points in total from any combination of friendly units wholly within 18. Then allocate them to a different friendly non-Hobgrot Helsmiths of Hashut unit wholly within 18, and that includes himself. So you can basically, like in the enemy hero phase, vacuum them up and give them to you, which is nice because it means you could up your ward save if you need to. And then the big guy on the Infernal Horus, he's got his Infernal Staff. It's pretty much the same, 1 less attack than Dumak has. Horns and Hooves are exactly the same. 4s and 2s, 2, 3 damage. He does not have... No, he's still got charge plus and damage, so yeah, he's fine. I think it was damage 4. Same damage potential. Has same battle damage state, and then Unholy Stampede. When a friendly Helsmiths of Hashut cavalry wholly within 12 of this unit, that unit can retreat and still charge, and no mortal damage is inflicted by retreating. So basically, he's like shaking the ground. And then he also has Demonic Resilience. It gets a 6+ ward with 1 power point, 5+ with 2, 4+ with 3 against spells, prayers, manifestations, otherwise 5. And then once per turn army, at the end of any turn, you can do an Immolating Presence, which basically is you're on fire. Pick an enemy unit in combat with this to be the target, and then roll a dice. If the roll exceeds the target's health characteristic, a model in that unit is slain. So if you can spike dice, you can kill some big guys. That's your rampage at the end of a turn. All right, so we're into actual unit profiles now, non-named characters. We got a War Despot. This guy comes in the box. Pretty standard hero. And standard dwarf stuff. Everybody's 4-inch move. Everybody's got a 3 or 4+ save, depending on they're a fighter or a wizard. 6 health on all these guys and 2 control. And he's got his Demon Flame Glaive. So crit mortal, 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, run 1, damage 2. Pretty much the standard Chaos champion. Like he's the kind of Chaos Lord on foot stat line there. Blackhearted Conqueror, passive. Add 3 to the control score of friendly Helsmiths infantry while they're wholly within 6. Add 6 to the range ability for each demonic power point this guy has. So if he's got 3, he's got an 18-inch bubble adding to control scores. And then you declare a fight ability this turn, you get a reaction. Fight, you scum. Pick a friendly non-hero Helsmith of Hashut infantry unit that hasn't fought yet. They can fight immediately after you've fought. And if they pick to do so, add 1 of the attackers with their melee weapons. So basically, you just bully somebody into fighting right after him. The Demon Smith, he can shoot 18 inches with his hurled demon fire. So he's got a little Hadouken. 18-inch range, 3 attacks, 4s and 4s. Run 1 damage, D3, crit 2 hits. And then his Dark Iron Talons are just 3 attacks, 3s and 4s, run 1 damage, D3. So he's an inconsistent melee fighter. And then once you're an army in your hero phase, Molten Mending, pick a friendly Helsmith's War Machine wholly within 6 to be the target. Add 6 to that range for every demonic power point you have, so your auras go up. And this is generally why you don't need to stack them too high. All these little heroes is just 1, right? So you're going to unlock their ability just by adding 1. His gets bigger. This one you probably don't need to, but you can reach out and touch things if you have to. And then heal D3 plus X, where X is the number of demonic power points this unit has. So it's heal D3 normally if you're just within 6, but then you can add bonuses to just meld it back together. And the Ashen Elder, this is your priest. His Black Hammer of Hashut is kind of the same attacks as the Dark Iron Talons. And then Extract Power at the end of your turn. If this unit's contesting an objective, a place of power, or a terrain feature, and that objective, place of power, terrain feature has a friendly desolation token, you get a ritual point. And then Stoked Fanaticism. Ignore the first damage point allocated to each friendly non-hobb grot Helsmith unit each phase whilst wholly within 6 of this unit. And add 6 to the range of the ability for every demonic power point it has. So he's got a damage reduction, basically, for like chip damage. And that seems really low until like you're taking little bits of damage from like charge attacks and stuff like that. And it's each phase, right? Yeah, it's each phase. Like during the charge phase, you can ignore like a trample, and then, you know, ignore the first point of damage when you get stabbed, and on and on. All right, our shooting units. We've got razors with blunderbusses and razors with flame hurlers. Nobody's got 2 wins in this army. They're not quite the berserkers, not Volcade berserkers. So 1 health and a 4+ save, 1 control. Blunderbusses shoot 18, 3+, 2+, and 2 damage. They are horrifying nightmares of guns, 1 attack each. And this is 10-man or 5-man units. And the weapon butts are 1 attack, 4s, and 4s. So just a basic like bash. In the shooting phase, you get a Hateful Hail. Declare if this unit uses a shoot action this turn and all of its attacks target the same enemy unit, and that unit's the target. Effect roll a die and add the number of enemy models in the target unit slain by the attacks. If the result is 6+, the target has strike last for the rest of the turn because you pin them down. And then passive, add 1 of the rend for this weapons for every demonic power point they have. Use to jazz them up. And then the flame hurlers are 12-inch range. 3 attacks, hit on 2s, 1 on 4s, 1 damage. And then Scorched Remains, once per turn army in your shooting phase. Declare if this unit used a shoot ability, the target infantry, and that unit's the target. Roll a dice on a 3+, subtract an amount of equal to the roll from the target's control score until the end of the turn. So you freak them out and make them not hold objectives. And then Manglers of Metal, add 1 of the rend for all demonic power points. So basically these guys can juice up to get better to shooting through armor. And then Hobgrot Vandals. These are just the same basic dudes as the ones in the, whatchamacallit, the, I think they have a better save, maybe. I think they have a 5+ save. So 5+ save, they're fast, they move 5 for you. And then 4+, 5+ with 2 attacks for their weapons. And they're disposable lackeys. This unit can immediately use the normal move ability as if it was your movement phase in the deployment phase. It just walks, they get herded forward. You've got your Infernal Cohort. So you've got the ones with Hashutite blades, or sorry, Hashutite blades, and then Hashutite spears. Both have 3+ saves, which means they're very durable, but only 1 wound. The blade's anti-infantry +1 rend. The spear is anti-cavalry +1 rend, anti-charge +1 rend. Both the 2 attacks, 3s and 4s, 1 damage. I really like that from a design point of view, the fact that they're offensively the same when you're attacking with them. It's how do they defend. And then we've got our Sacred Gongs on both of them. This unit's gong carriers or tokens. There's 1 gong carrier for a musician in the unit. When you use the rowdy, you can remove the gong carrier to roll an additional d6 to your rally rolls. So basically you remove the hobgrot because you hit the gong so hard he runs away afterwards. Rolls of 1 to 3 count as a 4 for making march rolls. And then they both got demonic resilience, just like the big guy did, and it's 1, 2, and 3, where their ward save goes up. And then finally, Conquered Lands for the spear guys. Declare if this unit is contesting an objective you control, pick a friendly Helsmith unit wholly within 12 to be the target. On a 3+, give them a demonic power point. So you can make more demonic power points by having the spear guys in particular hold the objectives. So I do like the spear guys a lot because demonic power points can be really cool and they can even give it to themselves. We got our Bull Centaurs. So this is your Cav unit, 10-inch move on both of them, 4 wounds each. They're basically ogres with a 10-inch move and a 4+ save. We got Thrice Cursed Glaives on the Anointed Sentinels and Brazen Mauls. They're charge +1 damage, so damage 3 with crit mortal. And they're 4 attacks, 3s, and 3s. The Thrice Cursed Glaive is 3 attacks, 3s, and 3s, rend 1, but they have anti-cavalry +1 rend and charge +1 damage. So, I don't know. I think people are going to take the extra attack and the possible crit mortal, and the crit mortal, so you're all the time crit mortal, and +1 damage on the charge. Like, 4 attacks per model, that's 12 attacks with crit mortal. That's huge. Bull charge, they've got, and again, they've got champion in the unit. Bull charge, if this unit charged, pick a visible enemy within 1, and then roll a die for each model in the unit, add 1 for the demonic power points that you have. For every 6+, do a crit mortal. So if you've got 3 demonic power points, you're doing crits on 4s. And then crush the unworthy, add +1 to the charge rolls for every demonic power point they have. And these guys have zealous counterattack. Reaction, you declare the counterattack command this turn. You also get strike first. So yeah, I think I like the meat and potatoes ones better. I like the idea of the Anointed Sentinels, but like they're situational. The regular ones are just good all the time. I don't see really a. Tell me in the comments if you think there is one. Strike first is cool, but like you just take a 6-man unit of the other ones and go ham with 24 attacks. And we've got our 2 big batteries, 8 wounds, 3+ save, 2 control. The rockets are 24-inch range, 3 attacks, 4s and 2s, 2 damage, 2 rend and D3 + 2 damage. Anti-monster and anti-war machine +1 rend. So yeah, this is like the big guy killer. And then the Tormentor Bombard is 30-inch range, 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage D3, anti-cavalry, anti-infantry. So they're just situationally designed to kill different things. Basic weapons on the guys, 3 attacks, 4s and 4s. For the rocket battery, you get Hungering Flames. Once per turn in your shooting phase, for the rest of the turn, the damage characteristic is 5 against monsters and war machines. So just fixed 5. One of those guns becomes damage 5 all the time. Ugh. And then reaction, you declare a shoot ability with this unit, and all of its attacks target the same enemy unit. So if you're shooting a monster or a war machine, watch them burn. Roll a number of dice equal to the number of demonic power points this unit has for each other enemy unit within the combat range of the target unit's shooting attacks. For every 3+, inflict mortal damage. So basically it makes it have a blast zone of up to 3 mortal wounds, basically, for everything that's in melee range of it. The Bombard gets Ruinous Bombardment once per turn army in your shooting phase. So really, you just want one of each of these so you can use all your abilities. And this unit uses a shoot ability this turn, and it's all of its attacks targeted the same unit. Then you can pick a number of enemy units within 6 for the target, equal to the number of demonic power points they have. And roll dice for each target. On a 3+, they can't use commands. So basically what's happening is you're shaking the earth. It's the old Earth Shaker rule from the original Chaos Dwarf book. And you're making it so they can't do special abilities. And then calculated trajectory. Add 1 of the hit rolls for each this unit's shooting attacks to target enemy units with 5 or more models that are more than 12 from the unit. So basically you're hitting on 2s against big units. And then finally, the Dominator engine, 2+ saves, 10 wounds. These things are so tanky, and at sub 200 points, you want a lot of these, I think. The Bane Maces, exactly what it says in the tin, right? You've got charge +1 damage, so damage 4 attacks, 4s and 2s, rend 1. And then he's got Demonic Strength on both these guys. For every demonic power point they have, you get +1 move and +1 attack. So this guy's going to have 7 attacks and a 9-inch move if he's fully powered. Engine of Domination, once per turn army in any combat phase. If this unit is in combat with an enemy hero, you can use 2 fight abilities that phase. And after the first is used, however, this unit has Strike Last. And can only be picked to use a second fight ability if it's still in combat with an enemy hero. So he just wants to kill heroes. Now the Dominator with the Immolation Cannons, he's got his ranged attack, 8-inch range, 5 attacks, 2s and 4s, rend 1, damage D3. +1 rend against cavalry for some reason, and shoots in combat, so you're always doing it. And then his melee attacks aren't quite as powerful. It's 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, rend 1, damage D3. He gets the same thing. And remember, the +1 attack is to all weapons. So he's gonna have 8 shots of that flamethrower when he's fully powered. And then all must burn when the picking targets for this unit's shooting attacks. If you pick more than 1 unit be the target of those attacks, add 2 to its attack characteristic. So basically, if you split your attacks, let's say you've got your 5, you split 3 onto 1, 2 on the other, now you've got 4, and you've got, 4 and 5. So you get 9, basically +4 attacks for shooting 2 units. And if you shoot, like, let's say 5 units, each of them gets 3 attacks. You get 15 attacks of that thing. It's great. So the more units are within 8 of you, the more dangerous you become. And that's it. We're into the Spearhead. So the Spearhead is exactly what comes in this box, which I like. I didn't like that a lot of the Spearheads that came out were like not quite the boxes that got previously released, the previous army sets. So I'm excited that this had been done. Maybe a little painting guide for these. I would probably not do it this way. Starting at black, I would start at metallic and then paint the black in because it's way less time. Yeah, you don't need to do it this way. This is way too long. There's a lot of bronze. You don't need that much bronze. Use bronze for the trim. Or use bronze with washes. So you get your War Despot, a Dominator engine, a Bombard, 5 and 5 of each of the 2 units, one with a Gong Carrier. And your battle trait is once per turn in your army, you can harness demonic power. You must use this ability to serve your turn. You remove all your demonic power points, and then gain a number equal to the current battle round. So you're going to have up to 4 during the course of the turn. Every unit gets 1 up to a total of 3. So just a simplified version of the way that you get them in the core game. And then your 2 options for regimental abilities, either Grinding Advance, pick 2 friendly Infernal Core units to be the target, and each target can immediately move up to its 3 inches, but you can't charge this turn. So you get a free move in the deployment phase. Or Suppressive Bombardment. Pick an enemy infantry that has any damage points allocated by a Tormentor Bombard. Until the start of your next turn, subtract 1 from the number of dice rolls when making charge rolls. So you're going to stumble because you earthquaked them. And then your War Despot, who again is exactly that. He's got the same core stat line in Blackhearted Conqueror. So add 3 to the control score of friendly units within 6 of him, and add 3 to this for your demonic power point you have. He's got all that. Dominator engine doesn't get the split fire because that'd be way too powerful in this. But same other than that, and gets his demonic strength. Bombard gets the trajectory and the ruinous bombardment, gets both. And then they get the core resilience and strike the gongs to get D3 guys back. So your War Despot can get the Scroll of Petrification. For the rest of the turn, the General has a 2+ ward, but cannot use abilities or be picked to be a target of friendly abilities. Talisman of Obsidian, which I think is probably the best in this case. Ignore the first damage point each phase. The Callus of Darkness, pick a friendly unit within 12 to be the target, inflict D3 mortal damage. An Amulet of Burning Hate, for the rest of the turn, your general's attacks score crits on a 5+, and once per battle in any combat phase. I think Obsidian's probably the best, because it's just all the time. You just ignore the first point of damage each phase. There's so many times you can take little bits of damage in Spearhead. That's my top one. These 2 are once per battle, so I'd automatically rate them out. All 3 of them are once per battle. Other than that, the 2+ ward's fine. Probably I would go, if I was ranking them, I would say the 5+ crits once per battle, then the damage, then the 2+ ward. It can be useful, but like you need to be facing the right army. So this is a neat one. It's just a microcosm of what the army itself does, right? 2 big shooting units. Your fighting units are dangerous. Your core gets reinforcements. You get them twice, which means you get the gong twice as well. So you can throw them forward and hold people up while you just blast them with your cannons. And immolation cannons are still highly dangerous. Not getting the split fire does not make you any less good. Path to Glory, of course, you can become a evil Hashutite warlord and then create your own guide to go on adventures. I love the Anvil of Apotheosis just showing up in books now. I think it's so great. I just wish they did more with it. Like, I get that it's supposed to be like a jumping off point, but the designers are clearly doing a good job with it. And give us more reason to play with it. Like, give us some adventure packs to play through the armies in. Give us a solo campaign and just have like the spearheads be the bad guys in the adventures. Come on, Games Workshop. If I can do this off the cuff, you can do this. You're a $1 billion company at this point. All right, let's talk about some armies of renown. So this is Uruk-Tar and his boys. You have to take him. You can take any non-Hobgrot Helsmiths of Hashut infantry and any non-Helsmiths of Hashut war machines, and no regiments of renown. So for your battle traits, you get Rising Fire. You get the following cumulative effects in each battle round. So in round 2, you get crit hits 2 for your demonic weaponry. So all of them, literally all of them. Crit hits 2 on your Dominators, crit hits 2 on your war machines. Harness Sorcery, you get +1 to casting enchanting rolls. Channel Power, attacks made by those units score critical hits on unmodified hit rolls of 5+. So now you're going to get your crit 2 hits on 5s. And then Arcane Dominance, add 1 to the power level of units that are wizards or priests. So you can cast an extra spell or chant an extra prayer. Your war machines get a 6+ wards. That includes the Dominator engines, the Great Tauruses, and the cannons. And then Dread ranks Unbroken. Pick a friendly non-hero Grand Forge Host infantry unit that's been destroyed, and then set up a replacement unit with half their numbers remaining, wholly within 6 of the battlefield edge and more than 9 from the enemy. So you get a return to a unit once per turn in your movement phase. So you can just throw units away and have the new ones come in. So that's neat. Again, you're not getting bull centaurs, but you're getting all the infantry, all the war machines. It's basically the army minus the bull centaurs. Your general's going to have Ruthless Overseer. Each time a friendly Grand Forge host unit wholly within 12 makes the rally, you get to roll 3 additional d6s all the time. And then your artifact of power, Talisman Obsidian, subtract 1 from hit rolls for targets or for attacks that target the bear. So you're just always -1 to hit. 2 great little like hero combos. Now you're not going to probably take another Great Taurus. They're spendy at like 350. But I can see myself taking a War Despot and giving them both these things and sticking them in a big fat unit of Chaos Dwarfs. Spell Reinforced Demon Steel on a 7. Pick a friendly Forge Host Wizard to cast a spell and roll 2d6 until the start of your next turn. Ignore the first damage point allocated to each friendly Helsmith unit in each phase while they're wholly within 12 of the caster. So put that on your big guy. You have Uruk-Tar cast that, and then it's 12 inches off of his base, his giant base. 6 spots for Shackling Curse. Pick a friendly Grand Forge host wizard to cast a spell, and then pick a friendly visible enemy unit within 18 to be the target. Then we can cast and roll on 2d6, and for the rest of the turn, the target's attacks cannot score critical hits and treat them as regular instead. Your Prayer Lore, Grasp of Stone. Pick a friendly Grand Forge host priest to chant the prayer. Pick a visible enemy unit within 18 to be the target, and then roll d6. You're -1 from the attack characteristic of the target's melee weapons until the start of your next turn. If there is 8+, their strike lasts as well. So you basically curse somebody. And then Lava Storm, answer on a 5. Pick a friendly priest to do the prayer, and then roll 6 dice. For every 6, pick an additional enemy to be the target, then make a chanting roll of d6. So basically, you get 1 target plus however many 6s you can roll, and then it's cast on a 5. Or answer on 5. And then inflict D3 mortal damage to each target. The same target cannot be picked more than once in the same phase, and if the chain rolls a 7+, instead of rolling 6 dice, roll an amount of dice equal to the chanting roll. Whoa. And then we have the Ziggurat Stampede, and so if we took out the cavalry in the one, we're putting back in for this one. So you have taken Infernal Taurus, and then you can take any cavalry units and any automaton units and no regiments renowned. So this is just going to be the Dominators, so either the Flamethrower one or the Mace one. Bull Centaur units, so probably just all maces. So what you're talking about here points-wise, and then Demonsmith on Infernal Taurus, so like, if a full unit of them is 300 points, and it's 200 points for the automatons. Let's say you're taking 5 automatons, 12 of the riders, and the big guy. So that's pretty much the point army. 12 bull centaurs, 5 of the dominators, and you just run around killing things. So your battle traits is pretty simple what this army is going to do. Let the realms tremble, add X to the charge rolls for friendly Ziggurat Stampede units, where X is the number of friendly Ziggurat Stampede units that have already charged. So every unit that you've charged with, you get to get +1. Break them down 1 and all. Any number of Ziggurat Stampede units can use the power through command in the same turn, because you can just push through. And then run roughshod. Pick a friendly Ziggurat Stampede unit in combat to be the target, and for the rest of the turn, the target can shoot and fight abilities even if they retreated in the same turn. And then no mortal damage is inflicted by retreat abilities. So basically you can pull out, not take any damage, and then go fight somebody else. Your heroic traits. So Raging Animus is going to probably be on your Demonsmith. Each time you make an unmodified save roll of 1 for a combat attack that targets this unit, inflict D3 mortal damage in the attack unit after the fight's been resolved. So basically, when someone attacks them, they will blow up. And then Artifact Power, Visage of the Great Bull. In your charge phase, add 1 to the number of dice rolled, making charge rolls to a maximum of 3. So you're going to charge 36. He's going to know extra spells. So you don't have any priests in here, so they don't give you any extra prayers. On a 6, it's going to be Shearing Detonation. On 2-6, pick an enemy in combat with them. Roll a D3 for the target. On a 2+, do mortal damage. So it's just a mortal damage for when you're in combat. Flaming Weapons on a 7. Pick a friendly Stampede unit wholly within 12, so one of your units of Bull Centaurs or the Dominators. Again, +1 rend from 2d6 on a 7. And then Burned Ash on an 8. Pick a friendly Ziggurat Stampede Wizard to cast a spell and a train feature with an 18. If the target has a health characteristic, do 2d3 mortal damage to it. So this can affect your opponent's faction terrain. If the target was not destroyed or does not have a health characteristic, it gains Obscuring for the rest of the battle and give it a Desolation token. And then finally, the Cursed Steel Battery and the Seekers of the Dread Dirge. So these are your things that you can give to your other Chaos armies. So all the major Chaos armies can take them. Skaven, Slaves of Darkness, Blades of Khorne, Disciples of Tzeentch. I'm surprised Skaven, because in the background, they're not supposed to like each other. But basically, you can now take two, it's going to mean you're going to want to build one of each no matter what here and get a Demon Smith. They can join your opponent's armies. That means he can heal them, and your Slaves of Darkness army now has artillery, because why not? It's like the old days. And they're going to be able to do Reinforced Demon Steel, pick a friendly Demon Smith in this army, and then cast a spawn 2d6. Until the start of the next turn, ignore the first damage point allocated to your units while they're within 12 of the caster. So he can basically put up a force bubble around them. And then display of total power once per turn for your army in the shooting phase. If neither War Machine unit in this regiment or renown used any shoot abilities this turn, pick an enemy unit to be the target. And for the rest of the turn, while it's on the battlefield, the War Machine units in this regiment can only pick it as the target of their attacks, but they all count as having 3 demonic power points. The first time you use this ability, you can use it without a command point being spent. So basically, the first time you do this, you just annihilate a unit, and then you spend command points from now on to doing it, and you just pick a unit every turn and blast them. That is a great regiment renowned for Chaos armies, and is going to be very, very popular, because it's 300 points for that. It's 300 points for all the guns, 16 wounds, well, 22 wounds when you count in the Demon Smith. Yeah, it's real good. And then this one's just a priest and a Dominator engine. They'll go fight for you. And it's the Dirge of Desolation. Thor's Bull has recovered only fragments of the script he searches for. So this guy's on the lookout for a book, and this is his bodyguard, because you have that bodyguard ability. Pick the Ashen Elder in this regiment round to chant this prayer on a 6. Roll D3 for each enemy unit contesting the target of this terrain feature. 2+ inflict amount of mortal damage equal to the roll. If the chanting roll is a 12+, you can pick another terrain feature to be the target, to be a second target. So basically, his whole thing is he's causing terrain features in the battlefield to fall around. And then all-consuming search. In end of any turn, pick the Ashen Elder in this regiment to use this ability, and then pick an objective or place of power they're contesting. If it has a desolation token and has not been picked to be the target of the ability for the rest of this ability, if the objective or place of power has a friendly desolation token and has not been picked to be the target of this ability already. And then roll 6 dice for every 5+, give them a ritual point. So basically, once you've desolated something and you've used the desolation ability on it, then you're able to suck ritual power points out of it, which means that this gets easier to cast, and you're also going to be able to, because you're also going to potentially, if you roll that high enough, you're going to get that 12+. To do 2 faction train pages. This one's not as cool. It's just not as direct and easy to use. Yeah. I feel like the models, definitely. I think this one's probably cooler. But you could take this one inside the core Chaos Dwarf army as well. Well, I guess you couldn't, because it's not available to them. So never mind. And that's it. Rules reference. So, what do I think? Man, they're Chaos Dwarfs. They did a good job translating it into, I like that they're basically embittered survivors. They use the lore of the coming of Chaos and the Age of Sigmar itself to kind of explain why they're so bitter and angry. They get left behind after Azer closes its doors. They have to make this pact to survive, and now they're just using the logic and science of the dwarf mind and their unwillingness to yield for evil purposes, which is a legit story. That's good story writing. I think it's fine. The look is close enough to the old ones. I like the fact that they included the hobb grots. They got rid of some of the more, distasteful stuff about the Chaos Dwarf lore and background in the original version. Although they're really trying to I guess it's chaos is the ultimate excuse. You can just Cronenberg it. Why is there bull centaurs? So they don't have to worry about the stuff there. And yeah, for an initial offering, I think the army's going to be very same-ish every time you see it in the battlefield. They're not unless you just go all bull centaurs. The 2 armies of infamy are kind of yeah, sure, you could do that, but then it's a very one-dimensional army. They're a for funsies thing. It's hey, you should buy 7 boxes of these things because it'll be fun to do. But I think probably the best version of this army is going to be a well-rounded, a bunch of guns, a bunch of lines of the spear guys in front of them, some Dominator engines in the middle with flamethrowers and some maces on the sides, and then a big bull, the big great Taurus flying around casting spells and being a maniac. There's no big standout here. There's no like Galadriel or like, no, not Galadriel, Alariel or like Nagashi type unit. That'll come probably later on. And I'm sure we'll see in the second version of this book, in like 5th edition, where I'm Age of Sigmar, another wave of units that'll expand it. Like this feels like just the initial offering. Because in the original Chaos Dwarf army list, there wasn't just hobb grots, there was also black orcs who fought for them. So like that would be the brutes, maybe as like a thing, like making the brute armor. Like they trade with other evil races, and that's kind of a big part of what they do. So I guess we'll see how this expands. So far, so good, though. I think they're fun. Honestly, it's a better translation of the lore than they did with Leagues of Votann, who are just very, like, the cyberpunk thing there threw me off. Like, this is just, I think, a nice, like, yeah, it happens. People become corrupted by chaos when they're left to, like, desperate times and desperate measures. Like, this is how it creeps in. It's always the best of intentions, or it's always, like, the will to survive being corrupted, or whatever it ends up being. So I think that this is the best way to sneak them into the lore in the background and kind of, like, give them the original flavor of Chaos Dwarves while bringing them up into the current speed of the lore and stuff like that. So I'm also really happy it's playable out of the box as a Spearhead, because it just gives you the way of ripping and going and playing Spearhead with them, so you can get a taste of like what the army does and how the units feel on the table. Which is probably what I'll do initially. Like, I don't really feel like playing a Warhammer Age of Sigmar game with these guys until more stuff's available, but it lets me kind of like scratch that itch and gives me a reason to paint what I have already. So please keep doing that. If you're going to release army sets, make them playable armies by themselves in their own little unique setting. Spearhead is the best platform for that right now. I wish 40K had a version of that. Really hope that some of those 40K battle forces turn into something like Spearhead at some point. Please, Workshop. You have unlimited money and time and staff. You could just make this happen. There's enough monkeys on typewriters to do it. But yeah, so like aces on that. Hopefully that evolves and continues to change into new things. So there's my look at the Helsmiths of Hashut, the Chaos Dwarfs 2025. Not what I thought I'd have on my bingo card, but here we are. So thanks for watching. We'll see you for more GMG reviews. Throw in a mash.